Okay. That would Genesis 37 talks about Joseph's dream. It says Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings, in the land of Canaan, Israel, of course. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his sons, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him, and could not speak peacefully to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, "Hear this dream that I have dreamed. Behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." What it's talking about is God is going to make Joseph greater than his brothers. His brothers, if you know the story of Joseph, you know this, of course, but especially if you're a Christian. Of course, later on, we'll get to that later in Genesis, but what God's revealing is Joseph's going to be greater than his brothers, and his brothers will serve him. So, it says his brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us, or are you indeed to rule over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams than for his words. Then he dreamed another dream and told it to his brothers and said, "Behold, I dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." Same situation, same thing. When he told it to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow yourselves to the ground before you?" And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "Are you not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." And he said to him, "Here I am." So he said to him, "Go now, see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring me word." So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, which is of course in the West Bank today. And he came to Shechem, and a man found him wandering in the fields, and the man asked him, "What are you seeking?" "I am seeking my brothers." He said, "Tell me please where they are pasturing the flock." And the man said, "They have gone away, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" It's very interesting because Dothan's, Dothan was right in the road. Anyway, so Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. They saw him from afar. Before he came near to them, they conspired against him to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes this dreamer." "Here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we will say that a fierce animal has devoured him, and we will see what will happen, or we will see what will become of his dreams." But when Reuben heard it, he rescued him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, throw him into this pit here in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand to restore him to his father." So Joseph came to his brothers. They stripped him of his robe, the robe of many colors that he wore. And they took him and threw him into a pit. The pit was empty; there was no water in it. Then they sat down to eat, and looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites. Now this is in the Bible. This is the first mention of the Muslims. So then they sat down to eat, and looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites or Muslims coming from Gilead, with their camels bearing gum, balm, and myrrh, on their way to carry it down to Egypt. Then Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is it if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother, our own flesh." And his brothers listened to him. Then Midianite traders passed by, and they drew Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit, and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. They took Joseph to Egypt. Interesting, because now Egypt's a Muslim nation. It's very interesting there. It says, when Reuben returned to the pit and saw that Joseph was not in the pit, he tore his clothes and returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is gone, and where shall I go? took Joseph's robe and slaughtered a goat and dipped the robe in the blood. They sent the robe of many colors and brought it to their father and said, "This we have found. Please identify whether it is your son's robe or not." And he identified it and said, "It is my son's robe. A fierce animal has devoured him." Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his garments and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. All his sons, all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol," which is the place of the dead in the Old Testament. Also, it resembles hell. It's the Hebrew word for hell. Of course, in the Old Testament, you realize before Christ came, when people died in the Old Testament, there was Sheol, the place of the dead. One side was hell, one side was heaven. Those who were not saved went to the one side of Sheol, which was hell. Those who were saved by God went to the heaven side of Sheol, pretty much. And whenever Christ is in the Gospels, he talks about the poor man. It was Lazarus and the rich man, and Christ talks about how pretty much how in the Old Testament times, like I said, there was a great chasm. One side was hell, one side was heaven, and people from hell couldn't travel to the people that were in the heaven part. People in the heaven part couldn't travel to the people in the hell part because there's a chasm there, so they couldn't travel between the places. And of course, whenever Christ came and died and rose from the tomb, those who were on the heaven side of Sheol arose with him, went up to heaven, and those who were in the hell part of Sheol are still there to this day. So, very interesting. It says, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son, mourning. Thus his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard." Now they have a map here. It says Joseph and his brothers from 1900 to 730 BC. Jacob sent Joseph from Hebron to Shechem to find his brothers, who had been pasturing their father's flock. When Joseph arrived, he learned that his brothers had gone to Dothan, so he went there and found them. His brothers threw him into a pit and later sold him to some Ishmaelite spice traders on their way from Galilee to Egypt. The traders took Joseph to Egypt and sold him to Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guards. We have a map here: the Mediterranean Sea, Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, the Dead Sea. You have Galilee, which is the course of Jordan today. You have Megiddo, Bashan, Dothan, Shechem, Bethel, Salem, which is Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Mamre, Hebron, Timnah, Adullam, Egypt, Gerar, Beersheba, Joppa. You basically have all these cities. It says Joseph's search for his brothers. He pretty much traveled from Mamre through Bethlehem, through Jerusalem, to and Bethel, to Shechem, to Dothan. Ishmaelite, or the Muslim traders, probable route to Egypt. They crossed from Jordan, which is a Muslim nation now. They crossed over the Jordan River, went through Bethshan. They met Joseph and Dothan, carried them all the way down to Egypt. So, and here's the map of that. If you can see this, it's kind of small, but that's the map of it right there. A little closer. Well, there it is. So that's the map of it, of where this is taking place at. So, but anyway, I mean, yeah, that's chapter 37. Chapter 38 will be next.